Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And man, do we have a show for you today. After yesterday's escapade over at Digital Foundry, where they once again attacked the poor Series S and told the world that it's holding back the industry. I got to admit, man, I think that, in the last couple of weeks, and I hate to start the show with negativity, but you got to call it out when it's there. The hit pieces, if you will, that have been a part of the gaming conversation for Xbox specifically have been on the level, retry of like 2013 all over again. Like I kind of feel like this is like Groundhog Day in video game land. No matter what Microsoft seems to do, whether it be, change the industry with the way you buy your games or play your games with Game Pass, or offer an affordable console like the Series S that allows for everyone to be a part of the conversation, it doesn't seem like it's enough. What's going on, brother? Good morning.
Good morning, Boom. Good morning, chat. Good morning, awesome panel. Glad to be here. I am a little tired. I've been playing video games way too late, like you, Boom, and I'm kind of addicted. To the Double Barrel, Double Fine Productions documentary that they have going on right now. I can't stop watching it. It's long. Yeah. So long, 22 hours. I'm on like the 20th episode, but it's really cool. I love the behind the scenes stuff. But I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk about these topics, and I'm ready to go and talk about some game stuff.
I don't think people realize how cool of a person Tim is.
Yes,
like I don't think really I realized is
it till I watched this.
Yeah, he is as cool as the other side of the pillow, if you will. Yeah. And man, he's exactly what the industry needs, and I'm glad he continues to be a part of it for sure. But again, we're going to get into a lot of these really cool topics. Danny McGee, what's going on, brother? How you feeling? Has the call from James Gunn come in as of yet?
Not yet, but it should be any moment now.
Any moment. Sure. James, give this man a call. He's going to help you rewrite the DCEU.
I'm excited to see how he ends up doing with it. He somehow manages to say a lot and nothing all at the same time. So he's one of
that
those
is
guys.
True.
Be careful if he ever runs for politics.
I vote for James Gunn. I'll tell you that right now. But listen, dude, there's a lot to get into. A lot of games. Game Pass. Shout out to Tim Dog, who actually is responsible for one of the sidebar topics we're going to get into. Put out a tweet listing the games that have already jumped into Xbox Game Pass in this early 2023, and wow, I mean it's a staggering list. And I think what's most impressive,
and he's missing a bunch of good ones too.
Well, we'll get into that, Mr. Game Pass, because you're going to lead that conversation. If anyone knows, it's you. I saw Pong Soul shout him out and talk about Age of Empires wasn't in there.
Yeah, that was one of the one I was like, you're right. I was kind of going there too. I was like, man,
Tim, how
Age.
dare you? We love Tim Dog. We got to get him back on the show one of these days. But
for sure.
Infinite Umbra, we got a lot to get into, and you are, of course, you're normally very reserved. Like you're very, you are who you are. You're cool as the other side of the pillow. So subtle voice, best voice in the business. But I think you're going to have some saltiness added to that voice today regarding the consistent attack of Xbox. It almost seems comical at this point. What's going on, brother? Good morning.
Yeah,
good
morning
now.
Well, yeah. Well, for me, it's still morning. It's 11.
That's right. You're in Chi-Town.
But good morning, chat. It's good to hear you, big up my voice, because we got one of the haters, Bushido, in the chat, who's just often trying to tear me down. So if you all
talking about kids games and whatnot,
exactly, just boo him for me, chat. But yeah, it is comical, Boom. It's something I think we, as on the Xbox side of things, have become accustomed to when it comes to the media. So yeah, we'll get into it soon, but it's just something I think that we've become accustomed to. So it's like something I don't really give much attention to at the end of the day either. But this right here is worthy of talking about because it's a persistent thing. So yeah, we'll talk about it.
I think why it's disappointing is because it's Digital Foundry. Not because they're not Sony apologists, because they are. They are Sony apologists. That's just who they are, and it's fine. I don't hate on you because you like a brand more than the other. It's perfectly fine. But I think why I'm disappointed is because, for many people in this industry, in this chat, and we have almost 200 people already here, they are the quote unquote go-to when it comes to tech, right? They're the go-to when it comes to digital experiences and their expertise in breaking those down. Of course, they're masters of the P's. 1080p versus 900p made them famous, right? And they are supposed to know better, and they don't. And a couple of the guys on there, and again, you've heard me say this before, folks. I don't subscribe to the bullying kind of stuff that goes on social media. I'm very against that. I think that you are allowed to have your opinion, and you should feel free enough to say what your opinion is. But when they do things, and I'm talking about Digital Foundry, they say things that they know is incorrect. They get smoke, and then they go to the masses and say, "Look at the smoke that we're getting," and it's a little unfair. It's you guys are supposed to know better, and you really don't, and that's ultimately the problem. But I want to pull up the tweet that I sent over to everyone regarding Tim Dog. Now he put out a tweet just a couple of hours ago, where he listed, and I'm going to go first, of course, to Retry, because he is our resident Game Pass professional. And he says, so far this year, Xbox Game Pass has released these games in the first 3 months. And really what he means, he counts March, but we're only on March 7th, folks. We still have 3/4 of the month left. So let's just talk about the first, 2 months and a week. Now, again, he did forget some things here, and I'll let Retry get into that. But he put, you got so far, anyone that's subscribed to the service, and again, not every game is for every gamer, so just bear with me. You had Monster Hunter Rise, HiFi Rush, GoldenEye 007, Madden 23, Atomic Heart, Soul Hackers 2, Wulong, Halo's Infinite Season 3, Guilty Gear Strive, Valheim, The Show 2023, and the Forza Horizon 5 expansion. He also forgot Persona 4, Persona 3, which are big. Yeah. I mean, that's, again, not for me, but they are for someone. This,
and a few more.
More
coming up too.
You forgot Age, forgot RoboQuest, Ikulani, Hot Wheels Unleashed. I think that Civilization. There's a bunch. Mount Blade, City Skylines, Shadow Warrior 3. I mean, the list is just so big that you run out of characters on Twitter. You just do.
Yeah, that's true. He
couldn't have covered everything if he wanted to. Anyways, Merge and Blade. So there's a ton of ridiculousness. Like F1 came out like last week. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of Infinite Guitars comes out this month. So it's, he's right. He's just trying to make a point and saying or at least I think he's trying to make the point that they've already got you covered for the year. Like, in my opinion, the games I've played so far, all the way up until March and through March, I already feel like I got my $180 worth throughout the whole year. So everything after this just feels kind of like a bonus to me. And we got a bunch more games that are coming. I mean, probably another 60 games that are on my list that are confirmed for this year alone, outside of the last 3 months. So I think, of course, Tim got some flack for putting in the DLC stuff in there, of course, because that doesn't.
But why would he? Normally you'd have
Game
to
Pass.
Yeah.
Well, because he was making a Game Pass tweet, so You know, and I've done that myself sometimes where I kind of forget, oh yeah, we got to pay for these DLCs for Forza and whatnot. But the point is the value. The value is there, right?
Yes.
And I don't think anyone, you know, with the brain in between their ears can deny that. Now, maybe not all these games are everybody. I know, like we just had Kay Asante on our show this past Sunday, was talking about Wo Long and how he's not a fan of that, right? So not every game hits for everybody, and that's perfectly fine. But I think the value is undeniable. I mean, we got Guilty Gear Strive. I know you, Boom, you're super excited about it. I've never played Guilty Gear, and looking at the trailer for Guilty Gear, it looks amazing. It looks really good. And we've gone.
It is Arc System
we've
Works
a lot
at its absolute finest, Retry. It really is.
I'm definitely trying that one out. You know, right? Like Atomic Heart, I was pumping up for a while. I've stepped away from that one specifically because it just had too many bugs, so I'm waiting for them to fix. Because I was getting stuck in the level like multiple times where I had to literally restart the game. I couldn't move.
Right.
I'll come back to that one as well. But I am going to play games like Wo Long because it's a good game. It's a hard game, but I'm enjoying myself. Like so far, I think this year has been fantastic for Game Pass, and it's not because I do a Game Pass show. Because if you've been following me from the beginning, I wasn't nice to them last year. Let's just say that. You know, I'll give them the smoke when they deserve it. But this year is looking, you know, 2 thumbs up. Let's go. I'm ready. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when you ultimately look at the value now, and again, of course, value is very subjective. Some people can think, well, yeah, you know, I didn't find a game in here for my $15.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If you didn't, okay, that's your prerogative, your choice. But I kind of think you're fibbing a bit, because one thing about Xbox Game Pass that I think everyone here can at least admit to is the fact that choice is top notch. Like, you know, genre choice is from head to toe fantastic. You know, you again, if you're into Sims, you know, RTS games, they have them. You're into fighters, they have them. You're into racers, they have them. You're into sports sims, you got them. You know what I'm saying? You had Madden 23, you have MLB The Show launching later this month. I mean, it's like there is literally pickings for basically everyone. And if you are someone that has you know, like I said, what I find almost one of the finite details about, and I'm going to go to Dan McGee next on this. One of the finite details for Game Pass, specifically when you see someone like a Tim Dog get out there and he puts this list together. And again, there are a significant amount of things missing, but to be fair to Retry's point, there's only so many characters on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. So he puts in what he puts in. And that's literally, you know, 3/4 of the list. I think that when you consider all of the first party games that still have not dropped for Xbox, and the big ones we're talking about Redfall, we're talking about Starfield and Forza Motorsport, and potentially Hellblade, which we're going to get into a little bit later. I think that this is phenomenal. Well, what are your I mean, again, if you had, Daniel, a backlog, it has now potentially doubled in size.
Oh, it absolutely has. My backlog is looking insane lately. Partially because I've just been really busy just in my normal life. And partially because, you know, Xbox provides, right? It's a situation where, I mean, I beat Hogwarts Legacy like a week ago, and haven't really played much anything else since then. I've been trying to finish up the Fortnite Battle Pass because that ends today, actually. But other than that, I've just been like catching up on some shows because on top of all the games, it's like also Last of Us show is doing really well, and like The Mandalorian just started, and like all this stuff. Like there's just in the nerd pop culture scene, like I'm eating good. I'm real full right now.
Exactly.
We're eating good. Yeah, absolutely.
There's only so much time in a day,
like
and I gotta spend 8 at work. So you know, it's a good time. Man, like I still haven't gotten around to Atomic Heart, which I don't know. Apparently, it's both really good and really buggy. But I'm a Bethesda fan, so I think I'll probably be fine. It's I need to do that. I still need to go back and play Plague's Tale. I mean, I still like there's a lot of really good games in Game Pass that I'm still trying to find time for. So if they want to take like a month or two off, I won't be too mad.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I listen, you're right. And again, I know an Xbox show, folks, don't get mad at me for mentioning it. That the latest episode of The Last of Us is
I haven't watched it yet, but apparently
it's incredible.
Wow.
I haven't watched
it. Watch it after this.
I heard it was good. I didn't like the one before it that much though. It was kind of but
this one is
it was necessary, but I didn't.
Yeah, this is turned up to 11. I
love it.
Phenomenal. Again, it's very game inspired for sure. And they have something really cool in there if you're a fan of the game. I'm not going to ruin for you. You got it kind
of thing.
Yeah, you'll see it. You're like, wow, that looks familiar. But listen, Infinite Umbra. Let's get your opinion on Xbox Game Pass. Again, this comes the way of Tim Dog, who is a resident defender of Xbox. He is good. He's a really good dude. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person several times. I will meet him again at E3 this year. Love Tim Dog. Love that he put this together because I think that it really does. The amount of games that come out on a consistent basis for the service, because they go from AAA to like indie titles. It really does get lost on the community on exactly how many games are available. There are some people, which of course will remain nameless because we don't do that on this show, that still consider Game Pass as a fodder machine. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're in that camp, you're getting it wrong.
It's typically our Hooved brothers and sisters.
Yeah, it really is. Again, you should. I'll put it to this way. And I said this before, Sony's service, PlayStation Plus, for anyone that is now finding PlayStation for the first time or hasn't been back in a while, it's an incredible experience, especially with their first party. It's a plethora of incredible experiences. But if you're someone like me who owns all of these games, who buys these games outright day one, the service is lacking. And you can't say that. You cannot say the same thing for Xbox Game Pass. What are your thoughts on what Tim put out there?
I mean, even besides what Tim put out, Clobril actually posted something too. So
yes, he did
about it as well. I mean, it's an overabundance of good games and quality games. A lot of people will try to detract and say, oh, fodder or whatever. It's just nonsense. And if PlayStation had it, they'd be celebrating it and championing it. The thing is, I think that when you have so much of a good thing and you have an overabundance of things to play, unfortunately, some things get left to the wayside. That's what it is for Game Pass. But I would rather have so much to play than nothing, or limited things, I guess, to play. I mean, it's just, I think even last year that we can say, first party was somewhat dry, right? We can say that. But when you look at Game Pass, you can say, well, we still had a great year for Game Pass, all the things that came to it. And I think obviously this year is going to be much, much stronger in that regard. Already we've had HiFi Rush, which you all know I got addicted to, like it was, the Vampire Survivors crack. And you got Monster Hunter Rise. I mean, you've had the GoldenEye. Now I didn't get to that yet, but I will.
Monster Hunter Rise lost me. It's not my bag.
I got to go back to that one.
The tutorial is it's wow, man. It's long. I was like, you know what? I can't. I love Capcom, and good on you if you love Monster Hunter. It's too much.
It's an acquired taste. I mean, it's one of those things that's, I guess, deeply. How do I put this? It's something that's specific to a lot of our Eastern fans, I suppose, because this is gigantic.
It's true. It absolutely is. I mean, all the amiibos. Yes, I do have every amiibo. That's crazy.
Although I do know a few of my buddies who love Monster Hunter Rise, but I just couldn't get into it myself yet because I just had so much to play, namely Hogwarts and then and Dead Space, so I didn't get to it. and of course Hi-Fi Rush. Atomic Heart is something I have to get to as well. Like I played maybe an hour and a half of that, so I just got to get back to that and get through that. But you also had things like Soul Hackers, so that's coming now.
Yeah,
Soul Hackers 2
Hackers
is
looks
coming.
great.
It does. It looks really good.
Yeah, both of those are going to be on the servers. Then you had, of course, we got Wolong that dropped. We got Halo Infinite Season 3 dropping.
Today.
I wouldn't put that as part of Game Pass necessarily, obviously, but it's still something to put in, as far as things to play. Guilty Gear Strive, like you pointed out, Valheim, which I believe was like highly decorated.
That's a big PC title, dude.
Over 10,
exactly.
over 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
Over 10 million on that.
Guilty Gear specifically is so Strive isn't like a new game. It came out in like 2021. Right.
Yeah, it's a couple of years old, but it's new for
but
Game
it's still
Pass.
a very relevant game. Like it's still being played on in Evo and all that stuff. I'm not a huge fighting game person. I'm not, generally I'm not super competitive in games. Just in any capacity. Like I don't even really play like a lot of like Halo multiplayer or anything.
We're going to change that for you. We're going to drag you into our Halo nights.
I mean, I'll play. I just, it's not what I do in my free time usually.
Yeah.
It's a good time
to abuse you.
My point is, Arc System Works though, they make a lot of fighting games that even I usually get into for a little while. Like they did all the Persona Strikers, the Arena.
Yes.
And they did Dragon Ball Fighters. Like they do probably my favorite fighting games. Like I know Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are big and stuff, but like I think Arc Systems is
speaking of
kind
Dragon
of the
Ball,
unsung hero of the fighting games.
Speaking of Dragon Ball, I'm sure you all saw about that leaked Dragon Ball. What was it?
The crossover with One Piece?
Oh no, not that one. Budokai
I mean,
Tenkaichi 3 or 4 or whatever it was, the new one.
I think it's 4. Yeah, they just announced a brand new Budokai Tenkaichi, which is not the easiest name to say, but certainly one that's gonna
girl, I want some of that Budokai. But
I love it. That's good stuff.
How much I owe you? Tenkaichi.
Tenkaichi.
That's too much.
I gotta go into a payday. I only got 6 Kaiichi.
Yes, we got the show 23 obviously coming up. And of course, we have, and it's not a part of Game Pass, I won't throw it there, but it's just things to add to it. Of course, we got the Forza Horizon 5 expansion. I mean, it's a great month overall. It's a solid month. And I think
we just started, mind you, we literally just started 7 days into the month.
7 days in, So
there's still marchers holding out that we're going to get Starfield.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
All love Pong and Mav, but it's not happening.
That's right.
Yeah, speaking of Pong, I got my OG Pong shirt on, as you can see.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the closest he's going to get to the march for anything. But all love to those fellas, but it's not happening. But no, it's a solid month, and it's going to be a crazy good year for us. And it's not. I know it sounds like it's something that's just continuously parroted, and people probably like, you just said that already. You're saying it to say it because whatever, you're shilling. But no, it's a solid year. I believe it's going to be a crazy good year all around. I mean, Xbox, I believe, is going to be overall the best, and that's because I prefer the platform too. But I think if you just look at everything that we're going to be offered on Game Pass,
well, as a greedy gamer, which you are, you cannot argue. I have to point that out.
That's the thing for me. And I'm an achievement hunter too, so that's the thing for me.
Yes.
And like right now, for instance, I'm still on Hogwarts. I beat it. I got all of it. The only thing I need to do are the 3 achievements of playing in other houses. That's it.
Houses, yeah.
And, other than that, I'm good. But things like that, I love, man. So I'm going to have a field day with all of these. The achievements just motivate me even more to get into these great games. And I'm just going to. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm happy for what we got coming, and I'm happy for what we're going to have coming for the future. And I think everybody else should be too.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And as a sidebar, because that's what we do on this channel, I wanted to talk about Hi-Fi Rush. A shadow dropped into Xbox Game Pass. That has officially crossed 2 million players. Now I get it. I mean, I wish they would have said we have 10 million players, but this is a game that came out of nowhere, was shadow dropped. It was made by Tango Gameworks, a studio that a lot of people didn't even realize Microsoft owns, especially being a Japanese studio. Retri, before we get on to the Digital Foundry situation, I want to get your opinion on that. are those good numbers? Because some people say no, and I'm like, 2 million of anything is pretty good. 2 million players of a game that came out of nowhere, that had no marketing, that had no big banners behind it, literally just dropped into our laps, and everyone was like, "Whoa, my God, this is amazing." What do you think about that?
I'm gonna sound like a jerk right now, but
talk about it, brother.
If you think that's bad, then I guess Ratchet and Clank did really effing bad. So there you go.
No. I mean, you know what? Please make
they didn't hit 2 million. It was like 1 point something, like after a month. So you can say what you want about Hi-Fi Rush, but which to me is as close to perfection as you could possibly get in a video game. That was kind of almost like a AA game treated like a AAA game that took 5 years in development, and we got that confirmed from the director of the game. So this was not something that was slapped together quickly, and it shows. So I think 2 million is pretty dang good for something that somebody like me, I use Game Pass as a service that I just rent. I do not buy almost ever. It's so rare for me to buy a game that is on Game Pass. It's crazy. So I guess for it to be on a service and still 2 million people are buying it, I think is very good. You know what I mean? So I'm happy that
I want to.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I want to add context to what you said, and I don't think that you're a jerk. I think that what you're being is fair. When we talk about numbers, there have been and they continue to be some of the biggest numbers in gaming come the way of the Nintendo Switch, which just doesn't miss as a console. Which anyone can suggest is holding back the industry because it runs at 720p. And then Sony. I mean, perfect example. Sony. Look, I know there's a lot of people. Oh, there's an Xbox show. Don't mention Sony. Guys, gals. That's what we got to talk about. Sony. They just posted year over year 316% increase from 2022 for the month of February. Those numbers are redonkulous. So let's talk numbers. And this is more pointing at the finger at PlayStation fans. Right now, this is an older article. This is what I was able to find. I don't have the updated numbers. According to the article that was posted by NME.com, it was written by Jen Allen. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which if you haven't played it, you should, because it is absolutely
it's in my top. I love it. I love that game. So I don't want people to think I'm ripping on that game because I'm not. It's just the sales numbers were the sales numbers, and that's one of my favorite games.
It is.
I love that game.
By far, one of the best ones, Insomniac. One of my favorite Sony IP studios. I love Insomniac for a multitude of reasons. Well, according to the report here I have in front of me, folks, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which is one of the best in the series, sold over only 1.1 million copies. So here's even a more damning stat. Roughly only 1 in 10 PlayStation 5 owners bought the game. Yikes.
Yeah. I don't understand. I don't understand it either. I mean, it's Insomniac. Everyone talks, that's their best freaking studio too. Like, I agree. It's too bad. Like, if I always say, probably till the day I die, if there's one studio I could cherry pick and bring them into Xbox, that's the one by leaps and bounds is Insomniac. That game
but you
is
even look at
awesome.
You even look at the sales numbers for like a God of War or a Spider-Man, and they're good. Like, they're really good in terms of just raw number, how many units were sold. But you start comparing it to how many like PlayStations are out there, and you're like, why are people not buying this? Like, why are people not playing this? This is like their top.
I mean,
because it's almost like third party is really what matters at the end of the day. Unfortunately, it's almost like God of War. It's like a gateway drug, right? I mean, I get excited for the God of Wars. I get excited for the Ratchet and Clanks and stuff like that. But it gets you through the door, and then everyone ends up buying the third party games because the numbers don't lie. We know that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just a fact. But those games are great. But like Daniel was just pointing out, the actual number of consoles that are out there and the percentage of players who are actually buying these games is still really low. They ain't, no one's touching Nintendo numbers. So,
I'll say this. What's interesting to Daniel's point, and I'll go to Daniel next on this. A lot of the games, especially the first party games for Sony, are made backwards compatible, which means you can play them on your PlayStation 4. When you factor in that particular number, it's more damning because right now, I believe that the current number for PlayStation 4 sold is somewhere around 117 million, which is astonishingly great.
Yeah.
And then you factor in, they're close to, I think, 35 million PlayStation 5. So when you factor those two numbers together, you're talking, close to or just above 150 million consoles. There begs the question. Now, again, you said it, and it's very important to say. There's 20 million of anything is important, and it's big and it's huge. You sell 20 million copies of Spider-Man. That's job well done for Insomniac. When you sell 20 million of God of War, that's job well done for Sony Santa Monica. That those are numbers you have to clap about. But when you compare it to 150 million consoles that are available to play said game, it kind of makes you wonder why Jim Ryan actually said PlayStation gamers are just not enough, and he's not wrong for saying so. So when you see people try and poo-poo 2 million for Hi-Fi Rush, you're like, wait a second, you guys over there, you talk about numbers all the time. 2 million. That's pretty good for a game that had zero buzz, that had zero, marketing whatsoever. What are your thoughts on this triumph, if you will, for Tango Games? I think this screams sequel. I think this screams potential anime because it literally just reads like one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those numbers are definitely higher than they were expecting. I mean, you see Tango and Xbox tweeting about it. And they're like, they seem blown away by it, right? And that's really great. Like 2 million, it's not the craziest number in the world, but for a game that we didn't know existed like a month ago, yeah, that's really good. It's I'm really happy with it, and it's I know I was just saying that for Spider-Man and God of War selling 20 million, that's also like a really big deal, right? I don't want to downplay that either. Like them selling those huge numbers. I mean, those are their tentpole franchises. It's very strange to me that Hi-Fi Rush is sort of being forgotten about. Like, there's a lot of people who I know who are like, "Hey, have you played that? Is that good?" And they're like coming up to me like, "Yeah, yeah, like you should definitely go play that." It's interesting. As far as like the Spider-Man of it all. I posted this question on Twitter like yesterday. I got some mild pushback from a friend of mine, where I was like, one of the things that Phil Spencer gets in trouble a lot for is not licensing other like big name things for his studios to work on.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it, and I was like, the MLB basically just strong armed PlayStation into releasing their games on other platforms.
I saw that tweet. Yeah,
right. Yep. And it's like Disney could, I mean, probably won't, but could at any time.
They very well
do
could
the exact same thing, right?
The only thing that's probably stopping them, I would say, obviously, is Spider-Man being in MCU.
Yeah,
but I don't think that I don't know. There's that thing, right, where that is a big deal, but also it's like Spider-Man's barely in the MCU right now. Like you look at the breakdown of it. He's had his own movies, and then he's been in like 2 others, right? For like little bit roles. And it is that sort of situation where right now we don't even have any future movies announced for him. Like they've said that they're working on some, but they're not in the timeline anywhere. Like we know the next 4 or 5 years of it, and there's no Spider-Man to be seen. Not in the MCU. We've got it over in the Spunk, the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. We're seeing, they're talking about all kinds of nonsense. They're like, El Muerto's getting a movie, and everyone's like, "Who's that?" Or like, Madam Web's getting a movie, or Silk's getting a movie. It's like, okay, well, I don't know who's showing up for that.
All of which don't have Spider-Man, which is the Craven the Hunter is getting a film and has no Spider-Man.
Makes no sense to me.
It's really strange. So yes,
you.
I'm sure that the like movie part of it factors into the why it hasn't happened yet. But at the same time, it's like, the more of the industry that PlayStation loses as like Nintendo and Xbox grow, the more likely Disney is to pull a move like that. And then secondly, the thing that we have to keep in mind is like the MCU can survive without Spider-Man, especially now that they got X-Men coming in, right? But can Sony Pictures survive without leaning on the MCU? I don't know.
I don't think they can.
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. Like I was going to say, it's interesting though. I mean, because if that does happen, where Disney just says, you know what, we want more sales,
right? And I don't necessarily think it will.
I don't think so either. And the reason why is because it sells so well. If it wasn't hitting 20 million and all of that, they might be more inclined to be like, yeah, let's keep the party going on all these other platforms. But if they did decide to do it, I mean, it's nothing that Sony could do outside of just saying, well, we don't want to make it. You know what I mean? And they're not going to do that.
No.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I've said this before. I think Spider-Man, I'll put it this way. Like I've platinumed Spider-Man 2018. I've platinumed. Well, I'm one trophy away from platinum and Miles Morales. Two of my favorite games. They're just phenomenal experiences.
Yeah. So good.
Again, I'm not port begging here. I played them. I'd play them again if it launched on Xbox.
I hate that term.
Yeah, the port begging. You're port begging. It's just dumb.
No, I just want the damn game.
That's why I own all the consoles, because when one doesn't have it, I'm going to not begrudgingly play it. I'm going to play it and enjoy the F out of it because I'm a gamer. But Infinite, let's get your final take on the 2 million hit for Tango Gameworks HiFi Rush, which I would imagine as we continue to talk about it, people will go and download it and play it. Is that an impressive number for an unknown new IP shadow dropped?
I mean, it's a spectacular number, and I don't know if they're just counting Xbox when they say that with the overhead, or are they talking about PC as well? I'm imagining it's both, but
I imagine it's both as well.
Yeah, it would seem it would have been more just because of the buzz that we saw from the reaction and reception of it on PC with Steam and things like that, and the high review user reviews of it and everything like that. I'm excited. I'm happy that it did so well. I mean, like I said, I love the game. It's evident in how many times I've played and how many hours I put into it. I don't exaggerate when I say how much I love it. And anybody who's actually really gotten into it and played it, they feel the same. And to me, it's just because it just gives me that Devil May Cry kind of vibe. You know, it's a rhythmic Devil May Cry to me. And I love the characters. I love everything about it. I think it's just a solid IP that I hope they actually really put a bigger budget in going forward. I had a guy who was like, well, why would he need a bigger budget? Like, I mean, there's so many more things they can do. You know, it's not, you don't want to just limit them to giving us the exact same game in the second, you know, the sequel, as far as what they can do and expand. But yeah, it's a great game. I'm happy that it's doing well. And if you look online, I've seen John Johannes, he's consistently like tweeting about how happy he is, you know, so
yeah,
clearly they're happy about it too. And I think what's the bigger point about it is, outside of the things we spoke on it being released the way it was, and you know, the critics not being able to tear it down beforehand, or our hooved brothers and sisters, you know, getting their chance.
It's a good point, Umbra. I like that.
Yeah, besides them not being able to try to tear it down, and us getting our hands on it immediately and saying, yeah, this is quality. That, I think it opens the door for more. Now, I wouldn't say shadow drops necessarily. I don't think they're going to do that too often.
Shadow drop it all.
Yeah, they're going to shadow drop Elder Scrolls. That's not happening, right? But or for our March brothers, yeah, they're not shadow dropping Starfield. Yeah, let me wake you all up before I go. But yeah, you know, the things of that nature, I think it does open the door for just more, like we've said it before, when you look at games like Pentiment and things like that wouldn't exist obviously without obviously Field supporting them like that, and of course Game Pass. But stuff like this, where it's a success and it's well, you know, received, it just opens the door for more creativity and more freedom for these devs to actually give us more unique titles, because HiFi Rush is very unlike an Xbox title. Let's just be clear. that's more so a PlayStation title. If we're going to be real about it, it's more closer to what they've had traditionally. So I'm glad to get stuff like that. I'm hoping we get more of that type of thing and more diversity. I think Xbox has just been the most diverse overall brand offering because of Game Pass in general for the past I don't know how many years actually to me, but it's been that way for a while now for me. I think PlayStation gives you great quality titles, but they're kind of same, you know what I mean? So I'm happy for it to do so well, just because I think that it opens the door for us to get even better going forward.
Yeah, I love it. I love the breakdown.
We gotta remember one thing too with like we were talking about MLB earlier. What did that sell on PlayStation?
Right,
2 million. Right. Yep. And then they went on to Xbox and they doubled sales with another 2 million. So I think 2 million seems like a popular number, especially on the PlayStation side. So I think we need to, everyone's trying to wait for that gotcha moment, right? So I mean, if you look at it in the long term, it's a possibility that Hi-Fi Rush will have doubled the sales of Ratchet and Clank from Insomniac. So I don't think it's bad. I don't, it's very possible, right?
You know what? Like I said, I'm glad
brand new.
Yeah, I'm glad you specifically said that. And again, this is not a stab. Ratchet and Clank, the new one, is chef's kiss, best work that they've done. It literally looks. I would even dare say, because people are like, "Oh, it looks like a Pixar film." I think it looks better than a Pixar film because you're playing it.
It's a gorgeous game. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 9 out of 10, I believe.
And I was right there with you. 9 out of 10, no questions asked. Phenomenal work from Insomniac. And again, to bring it back around, I'm very proud to have played through it. I'm at the last boss literally right now. I've enjoyed my time with it. I've put a significant amount of time into it. And again, the problem, why haven't you beaten it, Boom?
It's hard.
It's no, it's not that it's hard. I'm quite enjoying this.
Was tough.
Are you talking about the last boss of Ratchet or the last case?
No, the Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah,
I had a tough time with that last boss, a Hi-Fi. Personally,
but
I'm bad at video games. So,
what difficulty are you playing it on, Boom?
Normal, just normal.
He's a little tricky, but on hard, it's much more difficult.
I'm not going to even attempt it.
I think he twice just because I was vibing with the song too hard.
Yeah. once you learn the I guess the ins and outs of how it works for him, you'll get it. You'll kind of click with it and take them out kind of quick once you learn it.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna get to it. I gotta finish Dead Space. Hogwarts. I just crossed 4 days in it. I just can't stop playing that game.
So good.
I'm trying to save the sister of the one that's cursed. And it looks like I may have. Yes, the kid is starting to become a very Slytherin jerk.
That's the best standard Slytherin.
Yes, Sebastian is being a bit of an a-hole, if you will.
Look, I tolerated him as long as I can get that Avada Kedavra.
Right.
That's all. I was like, go ahead, be a jerk. Give me my spell,
till I get my power.
Give me the damn spell, will ya?
As soon as I got it,
I was like,
yes. I just started murdering things left and right.
That's right. Slytherin.
You know what, guys? You want to know something? I didn't take the spell. I told him no.
What? Oh, you're such a good guy. It's a video game, Boom. It's okay.
I'm embarrassingly too much of a good guy.
Are you a Hufflepuff? You are, aren't you?
I'm Hufflepuff.
It sounds like something a Hufflepuff would do, right? That's something you would do. Not us Slytherins. We're like, thank you. Let's go kill some people.
Right. I just want to go plant plants and read up botanicals.
Look,
how dare
you guys want to laugh at here's a funny tidbit, a personal tidbit. I'm relatively really a good guy in real life. This is how I am. It's how I was in uniform. I enjoy being a good guy. And sometimes when I'm overly a good guy, even Mrs. Boom goes, Captain America. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. But sometimes I'm too good for my own good. But
I didn't take Avada Kedavra from that kid either, because by the time he offers it to you, he's incriminated in some pretty bad stuff.
He's done some really bad things
anywhere near this kid.
I agree.
Yeah, I hate that you get it kind of late, relatively, but whatever.
You do get it. You do get it relative. I'm 68% done with the game. Like I said, I'm not rushing through it. I'm really enjoying my time with probably one of my favorite games, especially RPGs in a really long time. But listen, let's move this along, folks. But before we get to the next topic, I gotta catch up on the super chats. There's been so many of them. Thank you so much. The Black Harry Potter, favorite name of all time. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "Thank you for the link, Boom." And he's talking about the GameCube controller that I ordered from this company, that you can break it down and you can put it onto the side of your Switch and play using it's on the way from, I believe, Japan, so I haven't gotten it yet, but man, that thing sold out instantly. So yeah, shout out to you, brother. Anytime anyone needs a link, please by all means just reach out to me. And he says, thank you for the link, Mr. Boom. Shout out to the hardest working man doing the damn thing. Let's not forget, in all caps, Hogwarts Legacy Game of the Year. I love it.
No bias there at all.
no bias at all. No. He's being serious. Right. He's being
even though he's a Black Harry Potter. You know, it is my current game of the year, no question.
Mine too. It's my current game of the year. It's everything I love in an RPG. But Mr. Bushido N7 drops a $5 super chat and says, Game Pass is having an epic year, and we are not even halfway through the year, and the clip is the clip is still I guess meant loaded. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for Mr. Bushido. We have Sith Lord, who's been a channel member for 6 months, drops a $2 super chat and says, Boom, did you download Guilty Gear? We need to play. It's downloading as we speak. He says, Brett Bingham, good friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat and says, sounds like Ted Lasso is ending after season 3. That's a shame. I haven't watched it, but I heard of only good things of that. And that's shocking. Maybe it's time crunch. Maybe they're just losing.
It's a feel good show, man. It's
one of those
shows. Yeah. Reminds me of shows from back in the day.
We don't have enough of those. That is for sure. Yeah. Nighturnal, who's been a channel member for 3 months, says, enjoying Everspace 2. Devs said getting it onto PC Game Pass. Let them finish the game. Official release from early access is next month. That's the kind of stories you don't hear about. Them getting it onto Xbox Game Pass for PC allowed them to finish the game because of the bag that they were given by Xbox, right? So I mean, this is what we're talking about. These are the in-between conversations that people don't want to mention. They just want to mention Game Pass bad for the industry. We've seen, I'm not going to get into some of the ridiculousness that we've seen, specifically Christopher Dring, who comes up in conversations all the time. And thanks to him, yesterday, he gave some loaded information for Microsoft to take to the CMA with his story where Sony is up 316%. Good on you, Chris. Thank you. Appreciate that.
He's on our side. Yay.
Right. He is on our side. Shooter 28. Shooter 2853 drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, good day, Boom, Mrs. Boom, Retry, Daniel McGee, and Sir Infinite Umbra. Also beautiful people in the chat. I just called to say I love you, and we love you too, Shooter. Thank you so much.
Love you, Shooter. To say I love you. What's up,
Shooter? That was good. If you're not making an album, the world is wrong. I'm going to say that right now.
We're actually working on that, speaking of which, but yeah.
Well, I want a preview of the first song for sure, behind the scenes. Drawn TJ, who's been a channel member for quite some time, drops a $5 super chat and says, don't forget, we got games this year. Dead Island 2 coming for Game Pass? I haven't heard that. It seems like it would be
not that I know of.
It seems like a perfect launch. I don't know if it's coming. Drawn TJ, it would be great if it was added. Forza Motorsport, Redfall, Starfield, and Test Drive Unlimited, Solar Crown, and Diablo 4. Yeah, Diablo 4 will launch into Game Pass if this deal gets done before June, I would imagine. Sat Nist drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, this is funny. He says, old PlayStation fans, us, oh my God, Metal Gear. New PlayStation fans, what the F is a Kojima? He's not wrong.
Speaking of that, I could have sworn I heard like the. I could have sworn I heard
that was my phone. That was my phone. That's my notification sound. It is Metal Gear. Yes,
in my head, I was like, Snake.
Yeah, I had my thing up. Unprofessional Boom. Your baby father drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, enjoying the conversation on my commute home. shout out to you, brother, for listening, and thank you for the generosity as always. Shooter 2853 drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, "Boom, may I take this opportunity to thank everyone who replied to my tweet Jedi Pete posted for me. Massive response. Thanks to all. It's well deserved." And he was out there stoking the community togetherness fires. And we loved you for that, brother. Again, gaming's supposed to be fun. Yes, you can have your opinions. Yes, you defend your console to the end, but some people take it to an extreme where you got to ask yourself what is really happening mentally. Enjoy your team, whichever team that may be, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. But there's a limit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, which I have blocked and muted, have crossed dangerous lines.
Yeah.
And we don't want to see that. Don't cross lines to cap for the billion-dollar company that doesn't give a flying F about you and your current situation.
It's like be a fan of gaming, be a fan of the platform if they're giving you what you want, but don't lose your humanity. And a lot of people,
yes, I love that. I love that. And that's a great way to put it. Don't lose your humanity for capping for PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo. Don't do that. It's ridiculous. Brett Bingham drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I want to know all of the unforgivable curses, but haven't used the Ravenclaw Captain America language. That is hilarious." Yes, that's the best ass in gaming right here. You know what I'm saying? Listen, let's get into what happened yesterday, folks. I'm a realist, folks. Yeah, everyone knows that I'm a retired New York City police officer, and I've seen it all. I've heard it all, and I've seen humanity come together. Specifically, like something like right after 9/11, it was just an incredible time here in New York. It was tragedy, but everyone just came together. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. And how am I trying to equate that to gaming is, I feel an unbelievable sense of responsibility when I get behind this mic. I don't take it for granted that we have 500 people here. The show is growing to the point of it is even shocking to me because you don't know. It's very hard to grow an audience, very hard to garner people that want to hear what you have to say. It is. So I feel very, very proud, but I also have a great sense of I got to get it right because there are people that are tuning in that don't owe me anything, right? And when I see things, companies like IGN, publications like Kotaku and GameSpot, who get it wrong for the mere fact that they want to use, hate as a motivation for clicks for their company, I get disappointed. Well, yesterday, during their podcast, and I'm talking about Digital Foundry, they went on a rant where they once again found it important to mention on how terrible of a console the Xbox Series S is, and that it's holding back the entire industry. And they all wish that Microsoft would do the right thing and just get rid of the console. And when you see that, why I get disappointed is because they are the source when it comes to the tech part of gaming. Like, they know their business. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever when they're out here peddling that nonsense. And I totally get that they're pro Sony. Okay, that's fine. Be pro Sony, but be professional, for crying out loud. And this is something this is a drum that they continue to beat. I'm going to go first to Umbra on this. Again, take it for what it's worth. Maybe this is not the story you tuned in for. Maybe you're tired of hearing about it. I have a Series S. I have a Series X. My nephew has a Series S. It's a fantastic console. Now, granted, Microsoft, to lay blame across their doorstep, and this is thanks to me being schooled by Kay Asante, they haven't done the greatest job on showing what the console can do. Like they're really, I mean, remember back in the days, there used to be demo discs to show you what the PlayStation could do. Remember the N64, you could pull Mario's nose and you could pull his head and his hat, and it's, oh, I can't believe this console can do this. Microsoft needs to be a little bit better in potentially, putting out some games and just showing the game. Like I would love for them to show Hellblade 2 running, and then after it's all said and done, people are like, whoa, my God, I can't believe it. Oh, by the way, this is Series S. That would be amazing, because it would really then put the exclamation point on why this is a console you can buy with confidence. So to Microsoft's point of view, they haven't done the best job on selling the console, but to now turn this back around on Digital Foundry, Umbra, they kind of know this. They know what the system is capable of, and they're out there peddling this anti-Xbox stuff like it's been a thing. It's become a thing. It's like I said. I feel like we are coming back around to 2013. What are your thoughts on this?
My thing, Boom, about it is it seems like a constant thing, be it Digital Foundry, be it whatever news publication nowadays, because I think the more that we've come into having an online presence for them, and everything else has gone a wayside of the dodo. Now they have to have something that clicks for the audience to come to their pages to get them their clicks and views, be it YouTube, whatever it is, I guess, for Digital Foundry. And I don't think Digital Foundry has too much of a favorable view of Xbox in general, being honest. And I think the Series S is just the easy device to pick on and say, oh, this is what's doing it. I think that it's kind of silly to say, especially when you look at the specs of the Series S and you realize the specs are next gen specs, akin to or close to at least the Series X. I mean, there are small differences, or there's some difference. I won't say small, but there are differences, obviously. Obviously, it's 1440p, I think is the maximum output, things of that nature.
Yeah, 1440p. Yep.
Yeah, so things of that nature, but in the ME is the same as all those types of things. But I think, or at least the speed of it. But so I think that it's the scapegoat. It's the easy scapegoat to use. I think more so that it's, I don't know. I don't want to say something like, oh, it's lazy devs. I don't want to go that route. But I will say that when you see certain games that we've gotten lately that are just technical failures, I mean, you look at a Gotham Knights, for instance, and you see how terribly that was optimized, and you see some other games that are terribly. Look at Forspoken. Things of that nature.
Did you see that, guys? That people found it in the garbage.
I saw that. Yeah,
that was pretty bad. Yeah,
I wouldn't buy it.
This is ET all over again. 2600.
Forspoken, go home, but or phone home, I guess. But anyway, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Spicy.
Ain't nobody taking Forspoken home.
Yeah, no, right. But no, I think it's just it's a scapegoat. It's the easy scapegoat to use, and it seems like it's reoccurring. We keep hearing about it. So my thinking is this: is there truth to it? Is there actual? Because the old saying is, where there's smoke, there's fire. So is that the truth? That is the Series S that's holding back things, or is it because of developers or the media using that as a scapegoat? And I think part of the issue, and I don't know if I don't want to like go on a limb and say it's this, because I don't ultimately know, but I wonder what was I want to say on that. I wonder if it's more so for them to kind of scapegoat this, instead of pointing out that a lot of these games are still tuned to cross-gen, and it's probably because of them being split, doing so much work on all these different SKUs, or if it's a matter of them still having a bit of I guess the Series S, X, and PlayStation models they're working on, the SKUs they're working on, if it's more complex than they're able to grasp at the time. And I think the only way to really get around that is if Microsoft started bringing out their first party titles and they are hitting properly on the Series S and X. The problem is you had certain games like Halo, for instance, which could not have split screen. You know what I mean? So that leads people to believe, well, Series S is probably stopping that. You see what I mean? So I don't know. It's tough to really say, but I just think it's the easy scapegoat to use, and it's getting tired. It's getting tiresome, honestly. The only way for this to really get curbed is for Microsoft, for their games, the first party games, to start hitting, and for them to look great and play great on S, X, and everything else they put it on. I think that will stop a lot of that. And it's the same thing with Sony. When they put out their first party titles, it's exceptionally well run typically. They don't have any major hitches and things of that nature. And so other developers, third party developers, don't have an excuse to say, well, the PlayStation is not running this right. It's typically in the hands of those developers. So I wonder if, it's more or less sensationalism because of journalists trying to, scapegoat something, or because these devs are going to go with the common denominator, which is the PlayStation, and kind of give you a excuse my language, half-assed effort when it comes to the Series S. Yes. That's what I'm wondering. So I don't know, but that's what I would lead to.
It's an interesting theory for sure. And it's one that I wish, low-hanging fruit, regardless of what you equate that to, right, is the easiest thing to snatch off the vine, right? If podcaster A, regardless of size, does it, you're like, well, it's YouTube's a business. They're just running with the pack, if you will, which is why we won't do that on this channel. No one here does that. This when it's someone that has found its success of being the place to go for technical information regarding whatever, it is pretty. It's to me, it's embarrassing that you would take this low-hanging fruit and not do your due diligence to talk about something else. Like when we prepare for these shows, right? All of us do our due diligence. We do the show notes. We do the reading. We link the topics. We give the website credit, live on the air, for who wrote it and where it's coming from, because that's the responsible thing to do. Daniel McGee, I want to bring you in on the conversation. When you see someone like a Digital Foundry, which again, they're supposed to know better, and they go and they pick this low hanging fruit, and you're like, man, again, like that's the best story you guys can come up with. And then when, of course, their podcast members get in trouble with the community, which I've talked about this with Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley, like him, love him, hate him, I think he's important to the industry. People would disagree with me, and that's fine. But he does things that are anti-Xbox, same way Digital Foundry just did one. And when they get the smoke from the community, they go to the community like, well, look, I'm getting picked on. Why do you do these things is the question. And I understand it's clicks. I'm not a boob. I understand YouTube's a business, but be better. Be better than that. What are your thoughts?
It's really interesting because on one hand, it's like if the game really does run worse on Xbox, then that's not really Digital Foundry's fault necessarily. Like that's more the devs issue, and it should be, for all intents and purposes, it should be running as good, if not better, on Xbox than it does on PlayStation. Like we've seen the specs on both, and it should be running better on Xbox. So I'm not really sure under what circumstances it wouldn't, other than, like Umber was saying, if they were just not focused on it because Xbox is such a smaller portion of the industry than PlayStation is, which would be understandable, honestly. So I don't know. I'm not like too mad at Digital Foundry because I feel like we see this kind of stuff all the time where, Digital Foundry will come out with one thing and, sometimes it's very positive Xbox, sometimes it's very negative Xbox. And then we'll see like a couple days later, some other person will come out and say almost the exact opposite, and it's like, well, I just don't know who to believe anymore. Like there was, I think Digital Foundry recently said something about Atomic Heart, and they were like, yeah, this one video file like doesn't even play on this TV in Atomic Heart on Xbox, and then you go and you watch anybody's Xbox playthrough of it, and it's right there on the TV. So I don't know if they were playing that like before launch or what, or it's it's an interesting situation. As far as the Series S being too weak and people saying it's holding stuff back, I mean, no one point out the fact that Nintendo fans are out here hoping that the next Switch is as powerful as the Series S. Like, that's the rumor, and they're like, man, I really do hope that the Super Switch, which I hope is what they end up calling it, is as strong as the Series S. And it's like, yeah, that'd be really cool. I would love to see them sort of step up. That's one of my biggest problems with Nintendo, is that it feels like they're like 2 generations behind. So if they could jump up to the Series S, I mean, they'd still be a little bit behind. I mean, everyone knows the Series S is a less powerful console, but like, if the Nintendo could do it, hopefully that'd be a really big step up for them. You know what I mean? And the other thing that I want to bring up, I think someone said it in the chat, is for every time that we see a story where is some dev or some Digital Foundry, whoever, is saying, oh, I can't believe that they're requiring parity across these things. I can't, like, they should discontinue the Series S. Like, basically anybody who's saying that, for every time we see that, we also see a different story where it's like, yeah, and for some reason Gotham Knights runs best on Series S. Like, for some reason, don't know why. So it's like, I don't know. It seems like some devs are completely capable of using it, and other devs are not. And I think it's literally just a matter of, I don't want to say effort put in, but like, I think that they're just prioritizing other areas, and it's disappointing. But I mean, I guess that's also partially what you get what you pay for. So if you're getting into the next generation of consoles for like $150, $200, whatever it was on Black Friday, then yeah, you might have some worse performance. I don't know. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think the people who are reporting on the performance of games, your Digital Foundries, your whoever's, they really, really care about like the frame rate and the resolution a lot more than most people probably do. I mean, we got to keep in mind, there's tons of people who are still playing on their 360s who are like upset that some of the 360 stores getting shut down. There's still people who are playing on their Wii U, even though they only sold like 10 of them, right? Like, there's people who are just farther behind. Like, there's a lot of, I mean, hell, even look at the PlayStation generation, right? We're looking at 100 and you said like 120 million people on a PS4, but we're only at 100, or we're only at almost 35. You were saying for PS5, like there's people who are behind, right? And so I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal necessarily that the Series S. I don't think the Series S is holding anything back. I think it's a new thing that people have to learn how to use. And for some people that's going to be a really fast turnaround, and for other people it's going to continue to be a problem. Much like how who is it? WB, who just like cannot port something to PC without messing it up.
Yes, I mean? their porting skills for PC are just atrocious. Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, is it a problem? Yeah, but is it the end of the world? No.
Well, I mean, again, it's one of those situations where you look at it and you just, I'm sorry.
It's disappointing because it's Digital Foundry, and it's kind of like it's almost like Jeff and the VGAs. When we compare Jeff and the VGAs and how he's supposed to be all encompassing to all of gaming, Digital Foundry
he's supposed to be a diplomat.
Supposed to be, right,
Diplomats
and that's how I saw Digital Foundry too. Digital Foundry knows exactly what they were doing. This is like, and I don't want to hate on Digital Foundry because I really enjoy their content. But these guys are not idiots. They know exactly what is going on with the Series S. We know that PlayStation, if you're a company and you have limited resources, that you're going to spend most of your time as a dev on the PlayStation platform just because of return on investment. That's just obvious. And my disappointment with Digital Foundry is they're pretending like they don't know the answers, and the answers are the lowest barrier of entry is PC. It's not the Series S. Absolutely. So they like Kay Asante said, they're basically taking Twitter warriors arguments and using it and putting out a video on it and kind of saying the same. Maybe it is the S that's holding us back, and they damn well know it's not. They know it's not. So it's really disappointing to hear all of them pretend like they're having this roundtable BS discussion, and blaming my little spud, my little potato. F you, DF. Sorry. It's bull, guys. That video was 100% BS. They're pretending like, oh, it's some weird mystery. I don't know what's going on. it's just allocation of resources usually, right? It's not some magical thing that's happening here. It's devs, and I'm not like Umbra. I don't want to say devs are lazy because they have, these guys put in a ton of work and they're listening to upper management. And when upper management says you get X amount of time to work on this platform, X amount of time to work on this platform, I can pretty much guarantee the S is near the bottom of that tier, unfortunately, right? Just based off, if I'm a company, and I'm an Xbox guy, but if I'm making a game, you can bet your ass I'm putting more of my resources and my time to PlayStation. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but that's how business unfortunately works, right? So
it's true. It is that thing though, where this is one of those reasons why I think we need the ABK deal to go through. Not because I care about Call of Duty, because I don't, but it's one of those things where it'll sort of balance out the scales a little bit more. You know, I think the reason that Xbox is having so many of their troubles with people like, not to throw them under the bus again, but like people like your Jeff Keighley's or your Digital Foundries, because they're going where the clicks are, right? They're Tom Brady fans, right? When he's winning the Super Bowl, I was a fan of him the whole time, and when he's not, I never liked that guy, man. I can't believe that he lost that girl. Damn, he was never good. He's washed out. Show me Joe Burr, or whatever. They're these fair weather fans, and so as soon as Xbox starts taking more control of the industry, whenever they have Call of Duty, because that deal is going to go through. I think we're all pretty confident on that.
Yep.
I'm not sure why people are still so negative on that, but whatever. Regardless, the point is, the more voices that are being heard in the games industry is in terms of these major publishers, these major companies, is better, because then we're not going to see things like the Game Awards being the PlayStation Awards, because they kind of have to kowtow to these people who own, what was it, like 80% of the industry in Europe or something, right? Yeah, like just ridiculous numbers, right? If Xbox can start bringing back some of that stuff over to them, or if we can start acknowledging Nintendo, which I don't know why or at what point we stopped acknowledging that Nintendo exists, but if once we start doing that, then all of a sudden it changes completely to be an actual 3-horse race instead of 2 horses and a donkey, right? And I'm interested to see what happens with that. I genuinely think that if Xbox has more control over the industry, and they don't need to start being like the bad guys or anything. They don't need to start doing what PlayStation is doing and threatening to pull access to games or anything like that.
They just need to own more of it.
Just literally, they need to have more of a presence. I think as soon as that starts happening, we start seeing this ship sort of turn back in the direction of just neutrality, because we know from this ABK deal, it's not going to make it so that Xbox is top dog. They're still going to be in third place, but they're just going to be actually on the pedestal of third place instead of down in the
off to the side of third place. Yeah
right.
Yeah, we'll start seeing those tools of tooling, as they would say.
Yeah,
tools of tooling.
All of a sudden, those tools are going to start working. It's crazy how that's going to happen.
I mean, we know first party is where it's going to be at anyways for when we see those tools, right? Third parties are never, ever going to match the first party and using the tools. And we'll see that in Forza, and hopefully we'll see that in Redfall,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, that's actually what Asante was making mention of. Microsoft sometimes more often than not, they don't do their due diligence to show off why this console is as great as it is. Those words coming directly from Asante, who we talked yesterday, and he's right. They need to be better in showing the capabilities of basically, if there would be less and less of these hit pieces if Microsoft said, "Oh, you think it's a potato? Okay." And someone from Xbox, the tech aspect of it, comes out and puts a demo out and doesn't say anything. Like, oh my god, demo of X game I cannot wait. This game looks amazing. Oh, yes, by the way, that's on Series S. And then people are like,
of course, people would be saying that it was unprofessional.
Potato?
So
give us more. Give us more of that. And I think that's part of the issue. That's what I was saying. Like, it's got to come from first party. But 100%. On top of that, Microsoft might have to start changing their perception of what type of games they put out. Forza is obviously a great example of a super beautiful game. Forza Motorsport that's coming up is obviously going to push that envelope even further. We got Hellblade 2 that's going to be crazy visually. all these different games that's using Unreal Engine, which I had to throw it out there because I love me some Unreal Engine.
Yes,
but,
you do, sir. Yes,
yeah. Got an Unreal Engine
the next
tattoo as a tramp stamp. Y'all just can't see
it. But once they start I think Microsoft would do well to start having some games developed that really push the envelope when it comes to those type of visuals. We still look back at Rise, Son of Rome, and you're still like, damn, that looks good. I want to see more of that with Xbox because you will see that with PlayStation. Let's get that on Xbox side of things too, along with other games they give us.
Yep,
I agree.
That's why they just got a much more. They got to get more studios, like kind of like Daniel was saying. They have to own more of the market, and so that problem starts to go away a little bit. But it'll always be a third party problem. It's never going to go away, and I don't think there'll ever be a piece that goes on the Series S where everyone goes, "We were all wrong. We got wrong, internet. Like you guys were right." It's never going to happen because it'll always be
the wrong thing.
I don't even think. I mean, that's wishful thinking. I wish the real world worked like that, but I just don't see it happen because it'll always be less res and it'll always be less frames, and that's what they're going to shove in your face every single time. They'll go, "Well, it's not 4K. Yeah. Well, it's not 60 frames." You know what I mean? So they'll always have a talking piece.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to, and it's what we were already talking about, right? Is the more sort of like just raw percentage of the industry that Xbox sort of has control over, the more market share that they have, it's going to be easier for them to get things like these third-party deals. Like, one of the things that we sort of get onto them about is that they're not having, all these third-party exclusivity deals, anything like that. The fact of the matter is, because there's so many less Xboxes in the wild than PlayStations, they're probably getting charged a lot more than PlayStation is, which is why PlayStation is able to make so many of these deals. They don't have a ton of money, and they're certainly not going to blow it all on exclusive content for one mission on Hogwarts Legacy. No, they're going to put it into something else if it's the only money that they have. No, they're getting perks for being so far in the lead, right? If you're Coca-Cola and you're like, I need to find an athlete to sponsor my thing, you're going to like, back in the day, like a Michael Phelps or like a Brady, like you're going to these big name people. You're not going to some second string lineman for the Detroit Lions, right? It's just not happening. And unfortunately, that's sort of the position that Xbox finds themselves in right now, is that they are very far behind. And yes, obviously they're making huge steps to come back. But until they sort of take control of that narrative again, just by buying ABK, buying Bethesda, once this starts slowly turning this ship around, we're going to see less games just skip Xbox because the devs don't see.
They won't be able to be, not discussed at the table. Like Nintendo and PlayStation, obviously their brands are their brands. They're phenomenal. But you're right, Daniel. Xbox, unfortunately, as much as we all love it here, and we have almost 600 people here, which is absolutely amazing. Nice. Oh, and speaking of which, listen, I again, when I don't talk about it, Randall Thor, he's a good teacher, but he also scolds. And I don't want to be in the wrath of Randall Thor 19. He used to say, Boom, all the time. Boom, you never ask for people to sub or hit the like button. Folks, as of this morning, and it will be a big deal for us because this is a small channel. We're 75 subs away from 12K. That's it. So under 100. Nice. And we would love to hit it. We strive to bring great content each and every week. We do it 5 days a week. It's hard to do and still maintain game playing and real life living. You know what I'm saying? But we love it. And we love you. And as great as the super chats are, those help more than you could possibly know in regards to supporting the channel with new equipment and new programs that you have to resubscribe every year, plus the big giveaways. If you would like to be a part of that, please consider subscribing to the channel. Again, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, all great shows, all great panels, all amazing opinions, and we don't use the hate-driven narrative to sell the brand. It's always fun. We're always laughing. So, again, 75 subs away. You can help us at 12K. It would be greatly appreciated. I do want to catch up on the Super Chats, and then I want to get to talk about the Rally DLC that seems to have no one's talking about. Like, I don't know if it's because it's not as big as what you see on your screen with the Hot Wheels DLC, but I think it's going to be something special. I like what I've seen. I cannot wait to play it, to be honest with you. But we have a couple Super Chats popped in here. We have let's see, Pixelbit G, generous friend of the program for years, who's been a channel member for 22 months. He says Divinity 2 from I think it's Lorraine or Lorian Studio. Larian, that's it. Yeah. Studio has split screen on Xbox Series S, and it's the same engine as Diablo, just version 3 of it. So count me as a non-believer. I mean, I actually saw you tweeted something about that. Yeah, so yes, I absolutely agree. Kay Asante, generous friend of the program, who has been a channel member for 6 months and has also dropped a very generous $5 super chat and says Digital Foundry is using consumer perception and trying to make it a reality when they know the actual truth. It's very disappointing. To me, the mighty have fallen. Indeed, I absolutely agree. I think that if anyone knows about tech, specifically the Series S, it is Digital Foundry, who has made quite a bit of money doing video after video on it. And to see them stoop this low is very disappointing. And when they get the righteous smoke, they're the first ones shutting off their Twitter, going to the community and saying, look, they're bothering me, teacher. Why are they bothering me? Because you do jerky things and you know better. So don't be jerky. Okay. I'll just say that. Highlander 001, welcome back, my brother. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, afternoon, Boom and Mrs. Boom and panel. If Sony had the money and went for ABK, this would be a different story. Oh, let me tell you something. There would be parades each and every day down the Hall of Heroes here in New York City for Sony SIE. Yeah, and they're going to buy Take-Two according to that insider. Yes, out of spite. Let's
insider with air quotations, by the way.
Yes, Daniel, I want to paint the picture. According to a insider, out of spite to get back at Xbox, we're getting back at you, Phil. We're gonna buy Take-Two and put it in our back pocket and go home. According to the insider, that's just dumb.
Just remember, this is a guy
taking stuff more personally than they are.
This is a guy who puts out literally. I love this guy. He puts out 10 studios and goes, "They're gonna buy one of these," and then a year later, when they do, he goes, "See, I told you.
I told you I was right."
You probably shouldn't listen to that guy.
Yeah.
Well, what's funnier is that some of these websites ran with that.
They did run with it. Like, oh, to Take-Two on the way. Actually, again, I don't know if it's because of him. Specifically, Take-Two stock went up, and according to Take-Two, that wasn't the reason. But I suppose the investors don't care.
Always the reason. Whenever
it's always the reason when you hear it.
It's almost always the reason why it boosts.
So
by the way, Take-Two is like 20 billion worth, 20 billion.
It might be more than that, dude.
It'll be double,
I think it is more.
Yeah, so it's like
I think
doubled. It'll be like close to 50 or more, right? Sony doesn't have that type of money.
Market share value would bring it up a certain percent. I think, again, I haven't seen it in a long time. The last time I saw their value, I think it was like $26 billion. And it might be way more than that. It could be in the 30s for all I know. Mm-hmm. If they were to sell, if Take-Two, if Zelnick were like, we're putting this up for sale, sign on here, it would be a $50 billion purchase. And we just learned today, as a matter of fact, the president of Sony said that they had $15 billion to spend on acquisitions. Now, that wasn't PlayStation, folks. We're going to get into that tomorrow evening on Primetime Gaming. It was across the company. So if they're buying lenses or they're buying parts for TVs, things of that nature, investing in studios that make these things or companies that make these things, what they're currently left with for until 2024. And again, this is directly from the president of Sony, that they're left with $5.1 billion to invest.
That sounds about right.
From the which is not even enough to purchase Square Enix, OPS. By the way,
Capcom.
Get a loan from Tencent. You're good.
Yeah. So
Nick's made a funny tweet post in the chat. He said, when Take-Two accepts PayPal Pay in 4, something will come knocking.
You are stupid. Oh my God, that's
such a good comment.
Yeah.
Good shout out.
I love it. That is scandalous, if you will. We have Wandering Dutch in the chat. Dutch, what's up, brother? Welcome. He'll be with us tomorrow evening. Last week he was traveling, so he missed the show. We're gonna have him back on tomorrow evening, and his show will be live tomorrow afternoon as well. And go check out Stuff Sean, Wandering Dutch, and the rest of those amazing people on the Midweek Mix-Up podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to them as well. He drops a very generous 8 pound super chat. Thank you for the generosity, brother. Definitely
much love to Dutch, by the way, who did my intro. By the way,
I heard. You gotta let me see it. You gotta send it to me so I can check it out.
Definitely.
Let's get into Forza Horizon 5, the DLC, which of course is Rally. Now I know that there were a lot of people that wanted an expansion potentially as big as what you see on the screen right now, which of course is Hot Wheels. I was very excited that they returned here. I got to record more footage of this. Again, for being an old man, I played with these things. I had the orange tracks. I had the blue tracks. I used to drive my father crazy because there were a couple of times where he gave me the stink eye because he stepped on them. They were in the living room. I'm supposed to break it down. I leave it there, and as a situation where he comes out in the middle of the night and he's like, "Gee, damn it, these Hot Wheels." So I understand. You don't want the stink eye from Pops.
I could share such a terrible story with you all that just doesn't resonate with our white brothers and sisters, but our black brothers and sisters will resonate very well if I told the story about these Hot Wheel tracks. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not even going to go into this dark history, but this is, I have a theory, and I don't want to go into the far.
You know what? We'll go to you first. You said you had a bit of an Everborn-esque shout out to Everborn. Tinfoil hat theory kind of a thing.
I love these theories.
I love them. This is a conversational podcast. This is what we do, folks. This is what you tune in for. Look, Forza Horizon 5, folks. And again, I'm not getting on the bandwagon of I'm capping for the studio. It's by far one of the best racers ever created. I mean, hands down, the best. It's one of those games that, like Hi-Fi Rush, very hard to find things wrong with. What's your theory on this? Because Rally to me looks phenomenal. I'm very excited. I'm all in because I bought the season pass. Day one. What do you got for us, Umbra?
My thing. I think my thinking is this, and let me see if I can channel Everborn. Boom. Hear me out. I think that if you equivocate the essence.
It's too much. I can't take it.
Everborn is
the big words.
Everborn is like that. Everborn is like
I can feel the spirit in this room.
I channeled him. Everborn is like that brother who went to prison and started doing the plebiscite babble. Well, 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, blue fish. Knick-knack, paddywhack.
Give a dog a bone.
I'm turning red. I'm laughing so hard.
All love, bro. All love. But my thinking is this. I think we have so much of a good thing with Forza. It is such a known commodity. I don't think people are excited as for it because, one, we've played so much of Forza already, and they kind of have it coming here and there, like it's annually hitting now. It feels like that's what it feels like, at least. And on top of that, we got so many other heavy hitting great games landing in this year. It's kind of unfortunate, but Forza's kind of hitting a back burner for that. Yeah. Okay, it's not. You gonna clip that? I think it's just a matter of. It's one of those things. We've had so much goodness from Forza. People are like, okay, well, we know what to expect. We're going to get a great game. We're going to get a great DLC edition or expansion or whatever. So, in my opinion, I think we're just not hearing about it because people are like, yeah, we know it's going to be great. You know what I mean? So there's no need to hype it necessarily because and I'll say this too. I personally was not overly excited to see that they went this way with the DLC. I wanted something more fantasy feel, but then I guess they already kind of went that way with the whole Hot Wheel track. So what other way could they go except back to Lego, right? And I think we had a talk about this one time. We did have a talk, I don't think.
Yeah, we did.
And it was about which way could they go with this. And I forgot who said it, but they were saying maybe they can go to go-kart way.
That'd be cool.
And that would have been something that would have been cool, would have been different and things of that nature. It'd have been something that would have brought more attention to the game. Also, they can go try to. Microsoft is bad for this, and we know it. They don't want to license stuff, right?
I know.
Yeah,
terrible.
They did the Fast and Furious thing that one time, and
they
I think,
did.
That's
I think
true.
with Fast and Furious
That's right.
coming to an end.
Yeah,
soon-ish. Maybe
Right.
eventually.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sure.
It's doing that Attack on Titan thing where they're like the final season part 1, the final season part 6.
Right.
It's they're doing one of those things.
I
But
know, right?
I'm hoping that they do a Fast and Furious crossover for motorsport. But like you're saying, they don't really do a lot of licensed stuff with
They
it.
don't. Now they had Lego, of course, we know Hot Wheels, but I would like them to, and I would say obviously Fast and Furious. I wonder though if there was more Universal coming to them versus them going to them. But the thing is that I would love for Microsoft to allow, their studios and such, like I almost said Take-Two, or allow Turn 10 or Playground to, I guess, reach out to bigger, more heavy hitting IPs and licensing rather, and really go wild. And I think that's probably what it is. I think it's just like I said, we've had so much goodness from Forza, we know what to expect. So people are going to jump on it when it launches and such, but then we just got so many other great games coming out too that this is just kind of left to the wayside as far as mentions and stuff. That's what it is, I believe.
Yeah,
I mean, you're onto something. Sure, I do think you're onto something with that. I mean, there's a lot to be said about this year just being. I mean, everyone is getting pushed out of the way. I mean, it's as great as Hogwarts is. No one's talking about. I mean, we're still talking about it. But Dead Space. Did anyone play that game? That game is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, it feels like that one came in and went.
Yeah,
pretty fast.
I kind of feel like something comes out, and almost instantaneously, whether it's 2 days or a week, it's moved. And here's center spot. And then 2 or 3 days later, MLB The Show comes and that moves the other one to the side. Yep. And it's not just Game Pass. I mean, the games are coming out left, right, and center across the board. I mean, this is an Xbox show, so of course we're going to keep the conversation for Xbox. But I agree with you. I mean, like for me, I watched the reveal of the next DLC, and I was like, "Oh my god, that looks phenomenal!" That gave me Sega Rally vibes. I was like, "Holy shit, this is Sega Saturn, Sega Rally." It's gotten written all over it for me. See, that's one of the things. I mean, again, I know this is about the DLC, but this is one of those instances where you kind of look, Retri, over at the relationship that Sega has with Microsoft specifically. And this is one of those situations where I kind of feel it's a bit of a miss that for your next DLC that is rally based, you don't team up with Sega and you bring back some classic Sega Rally tracks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying it's one of those, again, they do a lot of things right over at Team Xbox. Sometimes, folks, they get it wrong. And this is one of those situations where we haven't had a Sega Rally in decades. Why not team up with Sega and bring that Sega Rally, font and experience into Forza? Oh my God, I feel like it's a huge miss. I mean, is it because Forza is so good? We're just like, it's just another DLC. I expect goodness.
I kind of think that has something to do with it, because it's such a good team. And the last DLC I bought and I really enjoyed. I thought it was great. I'm kind of like Umbra, where I wanted to see them do something again like that, a little more out of the wheelhouse, a little more fantasy based, like Flubis Cartel is saying, like Kart Racer. Can you imagine if they decided to go bananas
Dude,
and just went Kart Racer for a DLC? That would be you know a mic drop moment. But
oh my god, yeah.
At the same time, like Rally is very popular for people who are fans of Forza in general. Like it a lot of people are excited about this, and you get like 10 new vehicles. It's the most rally events that's ever happened in any DLC for Forza. So it's not like I don't want to say this is like a bad DLC or it's huge. It's actually a very big DLC, and I really liked the scum bug, the 1973 Volkswagen Beetle that they're bringing into this as well. I thought it was really cool looking. But it's also, I mean, it's March 7th. You know, we just got Wolong. We got a bunch of Game Pass stuff that we're talking about and how hyped it is. And you got all these third-party games that are huge. And this isn't coming out till March 29th. So I can kind of see where I think people might get more hype or like days before it's coming out.
As we get closer.
Now
yeah, it makes
just
sense.
Too soon. But you know, I'm probably not going to get this. I think I might be done with Forza for a while. My backlog is just, it's too much. It's too much. I'm so far behind. It's not even funny. To the point where I'm starting to play a lot of these games and it feels like a job, and I don't want it to feel like that. I'm like, oh no, here we go. Like I have to play that thing so I can talk about that thing with people because I'm the Game Pass guy, and I'm like, crap, I'm like gonna play this game for 5 hours and throw that one away and move on to the next thing, right? So yeah,
so you've taken on a Pong way of gaming. You're grazing.
I've always been a grazer.
In my head when he said that as well. Actually,
yeah, I've always been a grazer. It's amazing if I finish games. So I have a lot of games that are like 90% done, and like, dude, 10%. Come on, what are you doing? And I moved on. But,
that's
not you're like this. I'm ashamed. Where's the paper bag?
Yeah, kinda. There's few games that really grab me, like, and it seems like Hogwarts definitely has. I will probably try to 100% that. I have rolled credits on it, or at least the main storyline, and I'll go back into that. But there's not a lot of games that, like you were saying earlier, Boom, a lot of stuff comes and it goes. There's not a lot of games like Elden Ring that stay in the zeitgeist for months. Like, right? I think we're so used to what have you done for me lately? Because there's just so many, we're so spoiled. Like, we're so spoiled. If I was a 6-year-old with Game Pass, I'd be in absolute heaven. Like, I think sometimes we got to sit back and realize how good do we have it. It's incredible.
I mean, just look at what's on the screen. This is, besides them being on the tracks for Hot Wheels
as he's stuck.
I'm getting stuck. Yeah, unbelievable.
That's me.
I gotta rewind that. Forza. My driving isn't so great in Forza. I get clowned on all the time.
Four-wheel drive.
We tip it over.
No, I mean, listen, a great point, Retri. I think you're right. I will say, and again, I say this all the time because I feel incredibly privileged to have been as old as I am. I'm still around, which is great. I retired from a very, very dangerous job, pretty much unscathed. I've got hurt a couple of times, but that's the nature of the beast. And I have been a part of gaming since my dad walked in with the Atari 2600 in 1978. And when you've been someone has been a fan of the industry and has seen it grow from its infancy, from sticks and dots, and then we look at what we're playing today.
Yep.
I remember getting games twice a year. I got one on my birthday.
Exactly.
I got one. I probably got a couple for Christmas. I'll say one game.
Only for holidays, right? Your birthday,
usually
and Christmas,
for holidays.
Where it's at.
And every now and again, when like at the end of the school year, if I came with good grades, my dad would be like, all right, let's, you got to keep this up. Otherwise I take everything away. Because my mom was notorious for that. When we would do bad in school, folks, besides her whooping our ass cowboy style, okay, she would wait for us to go to school and we'd come back and we were burglarized. Like, we come into the room and she would do it specifically. She'd leave the wires there and be like, where is my 2600 or my, my Nintendo? And she'd be like, I gave it to charity. because you guys don't deserve him. We're all crying. My mother was in the
whoop me.
Whoop, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll take the whooping.
Please. I'll take the whooping.
No, she gave it to us both. She whooped our ass and stole all our shit. So that's
burglarized.
That's what Mama Boomstick used to do.
Damn.
Yeah. And, she didn't mess. She got you. She got you both ways. And then we were punished. We couldn't go out. It was the best. I'm a better man because of Mama Boomstick for sure. That's My father just gave me the look because if he hit us, we'd be disintegrated. But anyway, getting back to gaming. I want to talk. Let's bring in Daniel McGee on this. Daniel, this is again. I think both Retri and Infinite are on point. The game, the DLC doesn't launch to the end of the month, so we got about 3 weeks to go. And a lot of us I've played so much Forza, at least specifically Forza Horizon 5, that I'm going to play this. But do you feel? And I do want to then talk about on the back end of this cart thing, folks. If you've been following me, we'll make 5 years on YouTube this November, and for as long as this show used to be just 2 people, when it was just me and another gamer talking about Xbox, when we had no audience whatsoever, I consistently brought up, and I don't get it. I don't understand it, how Xbox has 2 of the greatest racing studios in gaming. This isn't even a suggestion. These are facts. The mere fact that Nintendo can say a Wii U game that was HD'd, if you even consider the Switch HD possible, right, comes out, and it is the number 2 selling game on the platform. Nearly for every 2 people that have a Switch, 1 person of those 2 people have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Think about that for a second. That's madness. When you look at Microsoft and you say, well, they have some of the greatest IPs, right? They have 2 of the greatest racing studios. There's got to be somebody on this team. May call it a passion project, make it a DLC. Yeah, a kart DLC. Hey, this is, could you imagine racing on a Halo ring, or through Gears, or through Fallout, or through Doom? I mean, come on. I mean, it's literally printing freaking money. And I know Microsoft listens to this. My God, please. I'll even let you don't release Banjo-Kazooie. Just let me race through a Banjo-Kazooie level.
If I got to choose, I'm not choosing a kart racer.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe I went a little bit too far.
You
went
to the wrong guy.
I'm not choosing a kart racer over a new Banjo.
Listen, I'm desperate. I'm desperate.
I think I would.
Daniel, let's talk about the DLC. And I want you to then segue into the kart racing thing, because there's a lot of people that actually said, I'm trying to find it. Hold on a sec. Someone had made mention, and it's someone new that I've never seen before, and I want to give him proper credit. They said, what about DLC for Project Gotham? Holy shit, that is amazing.
I mean, Project Gotham hadn't existed for a minute, so that could make sense.
Kudos indeed. Yeah, kudos to him. Absolutely. I love that.
I'm not really sure what a Project Gotham Racing DLC would be, because I don't know that they had unique characters or anything like that. Like, I guess you could bring back old tracks, maybe.
Definitely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Come back to Chicago.
Maybe you could do something with it. As far as the DLC goes, I think Retri and Umber pretty much said everything that there is to be said about it. I think, it's not a very sexy DLC. It's rally racing, which is a big deal for people who are in the Forza community. I'm sure people who are really big on Forza are going to play this DLC and love it. And I know, like, Boom, you specifically, like, you're a big fan of Dirt, so you'll probably end up playing it like a lot too, because it seems like it's sort of in that same vein. I have every confidence that this rally DLC will be good, if not great. I just don't think people are going to talk about it much, because, like you said, it's coming out at the end of the month, and it's like, what am I going to spend money on? Am I going to spend money on this, or am I going to spend mony on the Resident Evil 4 remake? And it's like,
bingo.
I mean, it's not going to be this. Like, I'm sorry, I like Forza well enough, but Leon's coming.
But if you got to make a financial decision, right?
I gotta do my dishes. Like, he's gonna be in the house in a couple of weeks. So I mean, it's just that thing where like there's the backlog and there's just so many other things coming out. And it's like, I don't know, do I really want to jump back into Forza for a DLC that I'm like not super like enamored with? Probably not. There's too many other things going on for me to make that choice. If it was a Kart Racer DLC, I'd probably hop on it for sure. Yeah, I don't know that it would necessarily be something that I was super excited for, but I would hop on it just to hear the noises that you'd be making while playing it, because I think it would sound a lot like.
Probably would, for sure.
The whole time,
pretty
sure.
The pony
90 miles an hour.
That sounds great.
Sounded like a pony sound you gave.
You know what?
Our hooves,
I'm going to be honest with you.
I've been for so long. You deserve it. You know what I mean?
Listen, I have no problem getting in front. I'm not a game designer. I wouldn't know even where to start. But if you didn't want to make a game, Daniel, I understand there are risks in development. I don't see how there wouldn't be a risk reward situation for something like Xbox to put out a Mario Kart Deluxe-esque racer where it would potentially bring new players, new gamers, the Xbox gamers into the market. And when you have a console like the Potato that can, has a very low bar or entry bar point of financial risk. You put this console up for $200. Or now the fact that you can even play games on your TV with just a controller. I think I honestly look, folks. I give Microsoft as much smoke as I give them praise. This is one of the things that I think they miss. I don't know, like Phil. I love Phil. He says it. He talks about it time and time again. He's never going to force a studio to do a game, and that's amazing. Yeah. But there's something to be said about you working in the business of car racing games and not being a fan of Mario Kart at some point in your life. Maybe that's what set you off to become a developer. You mean to tell me there isn't a bunch of people in these studios, Daniel, that don't want to make the Xbox version of Mario Kart with their characters? It seems like it's a no-brainer.
I'm sure that if they put out the call, they could find people who would want to make it. That's not the issue here. It's I just don't know how well it would do. It's that situation where, like, Mario Kart does crazy numbers. It's like one of the best-selling games of all time. But you got to keep in mind that that's the Nintendo bump, right? Like, if we look at all these other studios who have tried to copy the Nintendo formula, I mean, we got PlayStation All-Stars. We're getting all these Breath of the Wild ripoffs, and like none of them are good. You know what I mean? And I just don't know necessarily that Microsoft is going to be the one to break that trend. And also, like, I don't know. I think there's a reason why the only kart racer going right now is Mario Kart. Like, Crash Team Racing came back for a while, and like that was pretty good. And like maybe once they own that, like they'll do another one, because people were into that, but it sure as hell didn't do Mario Kart numbers. You know what I mean?
No.
So would it be a fun thing to do? Yeah, I think honestly it makes more sense as a DLC than as a standalone game, just because you put it out on a game that's already been successful, and you don't need to worry about making your money back, right? Whereas I think if you put out a whole new game and you're like, oh, it's the Xbox Kart, it's Chief Kart or whatever, I don't know, and it doesn't perform, I think then you've made more of an embarrassment of yourself than if you just put it out as a DLC and you're like, hope y'all like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, you're making some great points. Like I said, there is risk investment or investment risk, if you will.
Maybe if that DLC does really good, then you make it a full game afterwards.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Like testing it.
Fantastic point.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan, you're making fantastic points, and I think the risk reward situation. I mean, I see how you're a little taken aback by it, where. What if it fails? Then it's an embarrassment. I get that, but I think that if you're talking about playground games and you're talking about Turn 10 studios and you're pulling devs from these teams that do it all the time and they do it to great success in regards to making racing games, I think this could be something special.
It could, but the other thing that we have to keep in mind is, like we were saying earlier when we were talking about Digital Foundry, is even if it is good, but it's not great or even perfect, like there's going to be people who are trying to tear it down, and that's going to be the narrative. Is people are just going to be like, well, this isn't Mario Kart, and it's like, well, no, nothing is Mario Kart. Hell, Mario Kart, if you really look at it, isn't even Mario Kart anymore. It's just getting that bump because everyone wants to see Mario go fast. You know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
Like, hey, I'm sorry to have to be the one to break it to you. Mario Kart's like not even that special of a game. It's just a racing game with items. You know what I mean? Like anyone can do that. Like kart racers are fun. They're like, we're all going to have a good time sitting around the TV, you know, when we're 12 playing that game. But I mean, let's not pretend that Mario Kart is some like groundbreaking, crazy, ridiculous game. You know what I mean? And
N64 Josh is rolling over right now going, what?
He's dying as we speak. He's literally dying as we speak.
Look, Josh has already got my picture up on a bulletin board. You know,
what about the blue shell, though?
He's like,
I got no problem. I love that guy.
But what about the blue shell, Danny?
Look, I'm sure he knows. Like, Nintendo puts out things that are good, and then people pretend they're great. You know what I mean? It's this situation. I'm gonna get so much crap for this in the comments.
Yeah, you are. Clip this, guys. He's dead.
Let me double down. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Let me double down.
Oh, no, he's doubling down,
folks. To back
folks.
off or to double down, and you know me, I'm always gonna double down. Okay.
I love it.
When I look at Nintendo fans, I look at it the same way that Star Trek Starfleet looks at an undeveloped planet, right? I'm like, they're down there, and they're playing with sticks and rocks, and they're eating poop.
Holy matrimony.
And I'm like, God bless them. They're having a good time. They're having a lot of fun. They don't know how far behind they are. Are they ready to join the council? No. Don't let them know we exist. Prime Directive, we're gonna stay out of it. Like the CMA ain't even talking about them. They're out in the back. Like they don't like, you know. Maybe we'll someday when the bubble pops and they upgrade to the Super Switch as the power of the Series S, and maybe they're going to be like, "That's not chocolate, that's doo doo in my mouth." Until that happens, we're going to get
this. We have fallen off a cliff, ladies and gentlemen.
Until that happens, we're gonna continue to get situations where Breath of the Wild 2: Tears of the Kingdom comes out, and people are going to give it a 10 out of 10 and 11 out of 10, say it's the best game in the world, and then you're going to look at it and you compare it to a game like Hogwarts Legacy or Witcher 3 or any of these games, these open world games that have been doing it for years and generations, and like it's just not going to be factually, it's just not going to be as good. The only difference is that you got your little green boy in your hat with the sword going, yeah, and like that's all you need. That's a +3 on the score.
At Link, that's what I'm thinking as Link.
Oh my God.
This just made somebody list, by the way, Danny.
Look, I'm just saying. I didn't own a Nintendo console until I was like 20, right? I grew up without that Nintendo taint, right? I think if you get in early, and I'm gonna do the same with my kids, they're not gonna touch a Nintendo console until they're old enough to see that the Emperor doesn't have clothes on, right?
Oh my Lord!
It's this. I'm just saying.
Keep going, Daniel.
They put these games out, and like
digging yourself.
They're good. Like we'll play them, and I'm having fun with them. But at the end of the day, like, let's not pretend they're breaking any ground. Breath of the Wild wasn't some revolutionary open world game. It was an empty ass world full of 900 golden pieces of poop that you can go and find.
I have to say this as the host. Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the entities that represent Double Barrel Gaming. I'm just saying.
I'm part of the problem.
I'm clipping this. I'm 100% clipping this one.
Right? And we all know that Pokemon isn't good, but we still buy it and we still play it. Right? We all know that Scarlet and Violet wasn't good. We all know that Arceus wasn't good, but we still play it, and it still sold 2-3 times as much as God of War because it's Pokemon.
That's true.
Because you can catch a Pikachu in it, right? Does that make sense? No. No, not
well, at all. I am going to. I appreciate it, dude. You made me laugh harder than I've laughed in quite some time. I love it. Let me just find out. Kay Asante says, "Man, it's official. Daniel McGee, too slanderous. I'm here for it. Call it an abacus. I love it. Listen, you're not wrong. You're entitled to your opinion. I love it. I think that you are.
His opinion can be wrong. That felt pretty wrong to me.
I'm a Nintendo stan, folks. Okay. I play Animal Crossing every day with Mrs. Boom. I trade turnips. I change my outfit. I'm a big, gigantic 52-year-old nerd, and I'm waiting for an F-Zero. I don't care what it looks like. Give me an F-Zero at 30 frames. It's fine. Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm never gonna be telling Nintendo fans to stop having fun. I'm not that. Like, if you like Nintendo, I love that you
with
love
your
Nintendo.
sticks and your
You know
rocks.
what I mean? I'm up in Starfield watching you guys play with your hoop and stick, you know, and you're having a good time. And I'm not gonna take that away from you. I'm not going to take that away from you on any point. In fact, I even recognize that Tears of the Kingdom is going to come out this year. It's going to run at 15 frames a second, 720p, and look like just an absolute mess. And it's going to be Game of the Year. And I'm not going to take that away from you. I won't even complain because I already know it's going to happen.
It's like, no, I mean, listen, I get it, and you know, say what you want about Mario Kart being it's just a port, whatever. But I do want to go to Retri. You know, Retri. There is
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Daniel has thrown me so far off my game.
I'm gonna reel it back.
I can't believe the slander on Mario Kart. I think it's pretty. I think it's great.
I think Mario Kart is phenomenal.
It's fine.
I do. Again, we're getting close to the end of the show. I do want to get your opinion and Infinite Umbra about the Mario Kart. I'm not the Mario Kart thing. Don't talk about that.
Screwed you up too.
I do like the ideology behind what Daniel said originally before we went off the rails, that the kart could come in the form of a DLC.
Yeah.
I think if they took Forza Horizon and they decided to take a chance with development for their next DLC and make it a kart racer and start off with 10 different types of tracks, you know, a track in Gears, a track in Fallout, a track, you know, through Conquer, you know, through Banjo-Kazooie, it can be done. The fact that it hasn't been done, for me, is a bit of a travesty of gaming justice. Again, that's because I like platformers. I like these kind of fun of experiences. When you are and this is where I get a little bit scandalous, and we may go a little bit longer here. Sorry for that if you have to get out of here at 2 o'clock. It's the fact that when you say you're about to launch the Xbox Game Pass family plan, one of the major things missing from your portfolio that I continue to complain about is celebrating the family aspect of gaming. And yes, you can play Halo with your son or your daughter, and that's amazing. And sure, you can play Fortnite with your son and your daughter, and that's amazing. But the fact that you can't play something like a new Banjo-Kazooie, which is family-oriented, or the fact that you can't play a kart racer that will make new fans come to the platform is a bit perplexing to me.
I do agree with you. I still have I don't, maybe I'll call it stupid faith. I think it's still going to happen. No matter what Daniel says. I think there's an opportunity. I don't even care if they straight up rip off Mario Kart one
rip
for
them
one.
Off. Do it.
I don't care. Make it cutesy. You know, make miniature. You know, miniature Chief and his miniature. You know, vehicles and whatnot. I don't care. I think they have, especially when after Activision goes through, there's going to have that many more characters, and maybe they were just waiting for more IP and more characters that are interesting to put into a kart racer. So I do still have faith. I think it's something like you just said that is missing out of the portfolio. They certainly have the talent, I believe, to do it with some of the the best racing studios on the planet. So why not? Like, plus I want Xbox to be weird. I want them to take chances and do stuff. I mean, a perfect example is Hi-Fi Rush. It's a perfect example of what I feel is a studio who typically does something and took a chance and did something completely different. And it's like their best game, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people would probably agree with that as well. So yeah, I'm with you, Boom. I'll just drink the Kool-Aid and cross my fingers and hope haters like Daniel go away. I don't know.
I'm not hating. I'm part of the problem. Look right here behind me. What's all that?
Listen,
what's all that?
I love it. Hey, Wolf of Darkness just joined up here. Wolf of Darkness has been putting out some really good tweets recently. How you feeling, brother? Thanks so much for joining us. Infinite Number, let's get your final opinion. We'll get everyone out of here. Does the Xbox brand, quote unquote, need a Mario Kart-esque, type of game with the amount of characters, but specifically the talent to make a racer that they currently have both in Turn 10 and in Playground Games.
I wouldn't say need, but I would want it. I wouldn't be against it. But what's something I would have them do instead, though, Boom? Give us more of something along the lines of a Mario Party type game. Give us another Fusion Frenzy.
I would love that. Yeah.
Give us
Fusion
another
Frenzy
with these characters.
type of thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it.
And use all these characters. Use the Crash Bandicoots, the Spyros, the Master Chiefs, the Chai from Hi-Fi Rush, and those characters all from there. Give us all of that. Give us Senua, all those. Put all those characters into a big party-esque game or a fighting game. They could go either route. That I would take that over getting a kart racer, but I would absolutely take a kart racer if they gave it to us. I don't know how they would animate Chief. I don't think Chief really grunts much when he gets hit, so I don't know how that would sound.
I think and someone put it in the chat, Umbra, where people complained about too many kiddie-looking games on Xbox. I kind of think they don't have enough. Again, they have the Dude Bro shooters. They're home of the Western RPG. They're the home of racers. They're the home of multiplayer. I think one of the things that they're missing is a section that celebrates the characters that they have. I love the idea of a Mario Party-esque type of experience. I still play and buy every new Mario Party. I have 80 physical games for the Switch.
Wow.
I have a lot of them. I actually just got, which I didn't know launched last year, and just pre-ordered it, the SNK collection from the Neo Geo Pocket. I mean, I know that may not be a lot of people's bags, but that's my bag for sure. And they had a card fighter. They had a card fighter that was amazing. Listen, at the end of the day, folks, I gotta read a couple super chats that have popped in here. A big shout out to everyone that continues to support the channel. This is probably the hardest I've ever left turn red like on the screen, thanks to Daniel and many, many other. Pixelbeat G drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says, "Facts, Brother Boom, Sega Rally tracks in Forza and Sega Daytona track in Motorsport. Oh my God, that would be fire." I agree. Highlander 001 drops an additional $2 super chat and says, "I want a rally racer with Crash Bandicoot." I'm all for that as well. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Add cops in Forza Horizon." Yeah, that would be kind of cool. That's something they haven't done as of yet. Gamer by Choice, who's been a channel member for 2 years. Thank you for that, dude. He drops a $2 super chat and says, "Nintendo, are they still around? LOL." Oh my God, slander. And Kay Asante drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, "Gents, slow clap. Between Infinite Saga and Daniel McGee, I haven't laughed so much in a long time. Best show ever." Yeah, indeed. But listen, let's get to the outros, and we'll start first only because he was so slanderous and so off the rail. Daniel McGee, I hope you don't get the hate for this because it was fun.
It's fine.
But listen,
you know what? Hate comments.
The Nintendo Slayer.
Nintendo Slayer, indeed.
All engagement counts.
Bad engagement, good engagement, it's
That's
engagement.
Right.
Daniel McGee, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the best place for some of the great long content that you do, specifically about rewriting the DCEU. Obviously, I think I can see a video coming out about why Nintendo is bad and you don't know it soon. I could see that happening. So talk about where people can subscribe to your channel and more importantly, reach out to you and potentially say something nice to you on social media.
Yeah, you can send all your hate mail to me on Twitter at Daniel J. McG. That's Daniel J. MCG. Of course, right now, just as I start doing the promo, the lawnmowers are outside, so I hope you guys can hear that. Really drives up the quality of my participation in this podcast. You can also find me on YouTube at just Daniel McG. Do a lot of news reviews. I'm rewriting the DCU. It's a good time. I basically do whatever pop culture type stuff is really stuck in my mind at the moment. But I pretty much guarantee if you're a fan of your DMs, oh no, sorry, I just read the chat. I can pretty much guarantee if you're a fan of this podcast or any kind of nerd stuff, you'll find at least a couple videos on my channel that you like, and I'd really like to see you guys around there. So
yes, and so would I. Again, listen, he has his opinions. He's not wrong on some of them. Some of them are egregious. I will say as a Nintendo stan, I was slightly defended, if you will, but it's okay.
I've been wrong before, and God willing, I'll be wrong again. God. But sometimes
this is great.
Say what you gotta say.
Now, listen, this is a conversational podcast. That's what makes it so much fun to hang out with these gentlemen each and every week. Retri, sell your brand, brother. Talk about Game Pass _daily, where you, my friend, have been busy AF. Lots of news, as opposed to how it was in January. You were like, I think I might be out of business because they're not.
Yeah, it wasn't looking too good in the beginning. Yeah,
but now you have a lot to talk about, and you also do a show with Dave each and every Sunday, which is the Gamers Council.
Gamers Council, yes, yeah. We
talk
just
about
had
these things, and where can
there.
people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, you guys can hit me up at Game Pass _daily on Twitter and Game Pass Daily on YouTube and the TikToks for the kids. And so we got a new show, Gamers Council, with Web Dave, and that's through Web Dave's channel. I think I left the link. Yep, I did. I left the link in the chat. And we've had Wonder and Dutch on there. We've had we just had Kay Asante on there, and we bring some slander. It is not a PG show, so and we get the community directly involved. So whatever we're talking about, if you guys want to talk about something different in the chat, we will completely shift the entire the topics of the show. And it's been a ton of fun, and I love it. And I want to thank everyone who's been watching us live. We just hit our highest number of 28 people live. Let's go. Yeah, that's a lot for us.
No, listen, we all start with one sub. We all start with one person in the chat. That's just the way you build an audience, and you guys are doing it right. Love what you're doing over there.
And our chat is great. Like they're talking a lot to us. Like we got some great back and forth interaction. And of course, join us, guys. I put the link in here as well for our Discord for community game nights. We game every weekend with each other, and we're having a blast. I definitely will be playing Halo today and this weekend for sure. So if you guys want to play the new season with us, let's do it. That's all I got.
Good stuff. Absolutely. And Umbra, Infinite Umbra, obviously, he is a part of an amazing cast of characters on Friday evenings at the Xbox Infinite podcast. But more importantly, and as great as that is, he's doing his own thing, folks. That's right. He's launching his own show. And we want to hear more about that. We know that Wandering Dutch has done your intro. You're very, very excited for that. Can't wait to see you finally launch that. I want to help promote that as much as I can. Talk about that. Talk about where people could eventually subscribe to your YouTube channel. And more importantly, where could people reach out to you on social media?
Yes, I am excited for that. I'm one of those people who wants everything to be so well done before I do something. So I have some things I want to take care of before I actually launch. I want to have the soundboard. I want to make sure I'm really proficient at OBS, things of those natures, right? So, but yeah, you guys can find me, of course, on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. I also linked myself in the chat there for the first time ever. I don't know why I did it. I think because Danny did it, it rubbed me the wrong way. So I was like, I got to do it too. Anyway, so no, but just want to say thank you, Boom, of course, for hosting us, brother. You're the hardest working man here at Pong. I thought Pong had it, but you stole it from me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You took that crown. I mean, I don't know how you even do it. I'm like, I don't know how he comes up with all these topics throughout the week. I am not.
You know what? I swear. Don't laugh at me, Umbra. I swear to God, ask Mrs. Boom if she was here, she'd be able to tell you. I dream a lot of the stuff, and I get up and I write it down. I am always 7 days a week. I work on the show. I really do. Like I do work on the program 7 days a week. I'm not podcasting 7 days a week, but I'm always thinking of perplexing and thought-provoking content. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you very much for that.
No doubt. I mean, you well deserving of it, brother. And just shout out and love to the chat family. Thank you guys for coming by and showing love as you always do. And your comments, you all make me laugh throughout it too, and think. And I gain more knowledge from you all as well. Of course, you all can go to my YouTube now and subscribe to me. I mean, for the future, and if you want to. The show will be called The Fix. I am going to post it. The intro. I don't know if I think I'm going to do like an introductory video soon.
You should. You absolutely should, and explain who you are, how long, what you've been doing in the community, as well as what you expect your show to be. I think that'd be phenomenal, and I will help promote the S out of it.
Absolutely, I appreciate you for that, and of course our Nintendo Slayer Danny will be my co-host. he will be my co-host. Listen, his views are not my views, okay?
I threw that disclaimer for Double Barrel Gaming. These are not the views.
Hey, I mean, if the Nintendo Ninjas haven't gotten me since before the show launches, I'll be there.
Yeah, but you guys come through. We're going to talk about a wide breadth of things. I mean, all things pop culture, be it anime, TV shows, movies, gaming, everything. So, I mean, it's everything that you all would have, a one-stop shop, if you will. And that's what my intention are. That's what our intentions are to do. So yeah, just thank you all for your support. Thank you, Boom, for having us, man. And come by and support us more. And if you all haven't done it yet, subscribe and like this show.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, the folks, we're 74 away, actually now 73 away from 12K. Would love to hit it. Super, super important number for us. Not so much because it's 12K. It's just another milestone for Double Barrel Gaming. Again, we make 5 years on the platform November 3rd. And we work super hard here. And we're happy. We're incredibly grateful and happy for the success. I do not look any one sub, and discard it as all. It's just another sub. One sub is another, and another builds your audience. So thank you so much for that. Of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.